All right, hello, welcome to our channel. Um, we're calling it
The
Splash
splash
Pad.
pad.
This is where we talk about all things swimming, um, anywhere from high school to college to pro, gear, suits, brands. We're gonna talk about anything and everything. Let's get started on a introduction for us, so you guys can get to know us and why you guys should follow us and listen to more of our things as they come out. But yeah, do you want to get started? Or you want me to go?
I can go.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? My name's Jordan. I'm Jeremy's younger brother. I've been swimming all my life. Swam high school, and now I'm coaching at GCU with my brother.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little deeper
I don't know
into
what's to
who I
say.
am and all that, but man, can't have that popping up. So yeah, we're born and raised in Gilbert, Arizona, in the East Valley. In Gilbert, shout out G Town if you're from Gilbert. Um,
Which is nobody.
I attended a high school called Gilbert Classical Academy, where I swam. I also played a little bit of soccer and I played baseball. Growing up, we played every every sport you could think of: soccer, baseball, basketball. We swam, dabbled in badminton, ping pong. Our older brother did fencing. We were just active. We were just doing stuff constantly. Our parents got us involved in sports at a young age, so we enjoyed that. Going into high school, my freshman year, right in the middle of the swim season in Arizona, the swim seasons during the fall, I was playing basketball at lunch one time, and somebody kicked me right in my knee, and I dislocated my patella, which is my kneecap. And the ambulance came and everything, and I was put in a splint, and the ambulance over the ride over to the hospital rolled back in. So that was good. It kind of ended the swimming season for me. I didn't need surgery, but then a week later, this guy, we were playing basketball again, and this guy shoved me, and I subluxed my patella, which is it comes out but goes right back in. And then I had surgery a week after that. So I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. Soccer seasons during the winter season, so I couldn't do that mainly because of running too. Just didn't really work. Sat out freshman year for baseball. Sophomore year, I swam. Didn't do soccer again, but then I played baseball. I pitched, so it made it a little bit easier for my knees. I wore braces under the baseball pants, and whenever I hit, and if I got on base, which was very rare, I always had a pinch runner because I couldn't run. And then my junior year, I swam again. It wasn't a good year for me. I had some issues with my knees. I had to wear a knee brace underneath my tech suits every time I swam, so that absorbed a lot of water, and I just wasn't happy with my season. So I joined club for about 4 months during the soccer season, and then I did baseball again. And then senior year, I swam, did soccer, and then baseball. At this point, I wouldn't say swimming was my favorite sport. I wouldn't say it was like I was in love with swimming as much as I am now. I think at this point, as a fan, I loved soccer, and then as a player, I loved baseball. And I think I put a little more work into baseball than I did any other sport. But then I got to college. I went to Grand Canyon University, Loops Up, and I studied exercise science with an emphasis in sports performance. So, being a strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, anything like that. My freshman year, I I just miss swimming. I don't know. I thought about joining club baseball, but I was like, you know what? I actually kind of miss swimming. Partially because I wasn't too happy with how my high school season ended, and I thought I could do better. So I joined US Masters, and I competed through that freshman year. I talked to a lot of other students on campus, and they saw what I was doing, and they were like, yo, if you start a club program, like, I would totally join. So I started that at the end of my freshman year with a good friend of mine, Megan Robertson. Shout out Megan. And then at the time, she was just a friend, but she's my fiance now. Her name is Sarah, so shout out Sarah. And we started that, and our first year we had about 23 people, and it was weird. We don't have an aquatics complex on our campus, so we swam in like almost like a backyard pool. It's 25 yards, but there were like 2 lanes, and it was 5 feet for one lane, and then like 4 feet for another lane, and then to go up to like 3 feet if you wanted a third lane. But we made it work. Regularly we had like maybe 10 people showing up, but it was really cool. It was such a cool experience. We got to compete with Darian Townsend. He's a South African American record, or a South African Olympic gold medalist in the 4x100. And then we swam with Matt Grievers. At the time he was training out in Tucson, and he hosted a masters meet in Mesa that we attended. And then we went to nationals in Riverside, California, and that was really cool because Ryan Lochte and Nathan Adrian were there. And this was right after Ryan Lochte was suspended because of the Olympic scandals. Yeah. And so this was like one of his first competitions, and then Nathan Adrian was just there to compete, I guess. And it was a really cool experience watching them compete and just being in that atmosphere. So that was really cool. Our second year as a program kind of fell apart. We had about 32 people, but I wasn't mentally in a good place, and by second semester we went from like 32 to like 12 people, and it was really bad. Like I said, I wasn't in a good place mentally, and that's when I found Jesus and I gave my life to Christ. And so I'm a born again Christian, and that's been a really important part of my journey. And then, so I wasn't going to, I don't know if you know this, I wasn't going to go into my third year. I wasn't going to do it. I was like, dude, I'm over this, right? Mm-hmm. And Christy was one of the athletes who joined that second year. And she was like, hey, like, I really want to do this again, and I really see the vision of it, and I really think it could be something amazing. And so she kind of helped me and helped inspire me to really continue into the third year. So she was the only returner from the past few years, the first and second year. She was the only returner into the third year. Yeah.
Shout out Christy.
And we recruited another solid 30 to 35 athletes. Got a new coaching staff. She's my girlfriend at this point. She decided to not help coach because she was graduating and wanted to focus on that. And so I got a whole new coaching staff, brand new students. Like, literally nobody was a returner. It was almost like a brand new program. But I mean, we crushed it. That was a great year. We started competing with CISCA, which is the California Intercollegiate Swim Club Association, and they are just a bunch of California college programs who are club programs who want to compete. So schools like UCLA, USC, Stanford, Cal Berkeley just started a program, Cal Poly, UC San Diego, University San Diego, UC Irvine, UC Davis. I know I'm missing a few, but those are the big ones. Sometimes Oregon will come over and compete. Sometimes we'll see Utah. But yeah, so we joined that league. We joined CCS, which is a collegiate club swimming program. And if you don't know what that is, we're gonna make a whole nother video talking about CCS because we're heavily involved in that. It's extremely underrated. Not a lot of swimmers know about it. So if you're interested in it, just look it up, collegeclubswimming.com. Check out their website, but we'll come out with another video for that. But so we joined that league, and this was in its infancy. I think this was its second year as a league, and again, we'll talk about the history of it. It started off on the East Coast. It's been around since I think '07, '08. But this is when they partnered with U.S. Masters and started an actual collegiate league, collegiate club league called CCS. And so we joined that, and we went to nationals in Ohio, and man, we crushed. That was such a cool experience. Yeah, I wish we went to nationals. You would have had so much fun, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
But
I was excited for that, but
yeah, nationals in Ohio, 2,000 plus athletes, over 120 plus club programs from across the nation, just battling it out, and man, it was a cool experience. So we had that our third year, and then or no, our fourth year, right? Because this is gonna be our fifth year. I think I skipped a year. I think I skipped an entire year.
You skipped this last year.
Oh yeah, okay. So that was our third year, and then this past year was our fourth year, and we brought on about 50, 60 athletes, and we were on track to bring about 20 athletes to nationals, but obviously, as you guys all know, COVID hit, and that kind of ended a lot of things. But yeah, we're going into our fifth year. We have about 70 athletes. We're super excited for how that's gonna go, but yeah, or we say all that, or I say all that because our passion has grown into swimming. Everything swimming related. We follow college pretty heavily. You follow high school pretty heavily.
I follow high school.
I used to. And I want to clarify, we follow Arizona.
Yeah,
high
Arizona high
pretty
school.
heavily.
Yeah, yeah, I follow Arizona high school. Not really anywhere else, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at California Times. Well, because I'm recruiting, right? So I look at California high school times and Colorado. The main schools we recruit from is Washington, Colorado, California. So I look at those high school times often, like here and there, but I don't follow it regularly. You follow Arizona high school swimming.
Yeah, pretty deeply.
Like
Yeah.
And then I follow college swimming. Not as hard as you follow high school swimming, but I try to keep up with it. And then pro swimming's been with the ISL league.
Yeah, we go off in ISL.
Yeah, so we've been following that. We were gonna go to Vegas and watch, but I had a wedding that weekend.
Yeah, kind of ruined everything.
Shout out Carlos. I was the best man at that wedding, so I couldn't skip it. Not that I wanted to, but yeah, unfortunate that we missed that. I watched like replays of it.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like,
dude, we could have been there.
If you haven't, just YouTube search like any ISL finals meets. Like they have a whole highlight reel. It's like 2 hours long, but you can knock that out pretty easily and skip through some stuff. But man, that highlight reel, they go point by point, event by event, and it's crazy. So if you haven't checked out ISL, it's all over YouTube. It's all over Instagram. Just check it out. And we'll actually be following with that soon, because they're starting their second season in October.
Right.
And we're gonna subscribe. We're gonna be one of
the
first people to pay for it and watch it. If you don't know about it, again, I think we'll come out with another video talking about it. But just briefly, because of COVID, just like all the other sports, like the NBA is back, by the way. We're also huge basketball
NBA fans.
We're just sports fans in general.
Yeah.
Jordan follows football, baseball, and basketball a lot. I mainly follow basketball. I find football pretty boring. Unpopular opinion, I find it pretty boring.
It's all right.
And then I love watching baseball games. I don't follow it, but I'll watch, the D-backs. We're from Arizona, born and raised, so any Arizona teams we follow, which is unfortunate for us, like
unfortunate.
The past
We're
decade.
It's not been too good for us.
But yeah, so we follow sports a lot. But anyway, so with the NBA being back, they're keeping them in a bubble in Orlando. That's kind of how the ISL is going to work. They're taking them out to a location, and they haven't told us where they're taking them yet. but it's gonna be top of line facilities, and they're gonna make it almost like a reality show. They're gonna
Right.
be following athletes around and within their hotels and how they train and stuff like that, and then obviously they'll do the meets and stuff too. So I'm really excited for that. You don't see that with any other sport. Like you don't see like a whole camera crew and show like following athletes around and showing like their trainings and and like you might see highlights of somebody's like a basketball player's practice or baseball practices and stuff like that, but you don't get to like follow it and really talk. So it's kind of like a reality show ish. It's gonna be 8 weeks, I believe, and I think they added 2 more teams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
they added 2 more teams, one international team and one American team. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
So they'll be announcing that fairly soon, and we'll have a video on that. Trust.
Yeah.
But yeah, we say all that just because we're super passionate about swimming. We're constantly talking about swimming. We live together in this room. This is a master bedroom of my house. Over to my right is my bed, and then over to the left is his bed. And before we go to bed, we'll just stay up and we'll just talk all things swimming.
Oh yeah.
How to train, what's the best gear and training gear for you out there, what's the best brand, what's the best suit, and we'll be getting into all of that. We have a lot of ideas to talk about, that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't say, here's a full disclaimer, I wouldn't say we are the most knowledgeable people in everything.
Yeah.
I'm only 23, and then you're 19.
I'm 19. Yeah.
And there are definitely coaches and people out there who have been more heavily involved in swimming than we have, who have tried out different suits, tried out different training gear and stuff like that. And we don't have a lot of money to just buy $400 tech suits and try them out and everything, but we'll give you our best review, our honest review for everything. We have tried a lot of different tech suits. I bought a Nike NG1 tech suit. If you remember, Nike put out tech suits.
Right.
We've had Speedo, we've had Tier, Arena.
Just remember, guys, we're broke college students, like so, but yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like we still have a lot to talk about. I think we still have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things, and especially underrated things. But being in a program like College Club Swimming, not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people think it's a legit thing. So we like to talk about things that people aren't talking about,
right.
Brands and training gear and things that people aren't talking about, because we've tried it, like we've experienced it, and we've gone through it. And so if anything, we'll definitely be giving you a different perspective on things rather than just what everybody's talking about.
Right.
And so hopefully it'll open up your mind and help you to keep a open mind about other things. And
yeah, I feel like our goal is just to like spread swim and just like help people, just educate them and just spread swim and just spread love.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, being fans of other sports, I mean, we follow like basketball pages and NFL pages on Instagram like heavily, but you just don't see pages like that for swimming.
Yeah, very true.
Like people who play the sport of baseball, basketball, football, they follow the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
They know players. They watch the games. They follow it. But I talked to so many swimmers, and they can't tell me any American swimmer past Phelps, Lochte, Ledecky, Dressel, and like Adrian. Other than that 5, they can't name me another 5.
Right.
And that's sad.
It's very sad. No, honestly.
Like it's really disappointing for me to hear that you're a swimmer and you've been competing in this sport as a club athlete, year-round swimmer for a decade of your life, and you don't follow any swimming outside of the Olympics. Right? And you don't know any other swimmers. Every 4 years you're like, who are these people? I've never heard of these people. But they still train and compete throughout the other 3 years. And and nobody follows them though, and that's why swimming is such an underrated sport,
Right.
because the people who compete in these sports growing up don't follow it, and then they complain. They're like, "Oh, swimming should be a more viewed sport. Like, should have more notice and stuff like
Right.
that."
Right.
But swimmers don't even follow it.
Right. Yeah. Like,
Um,
yeah, it's just weird to complain about that. Like when like they're like nobody goes to our swim meets or like nobody cares about our sport. But like at the same time, like yeah, you swim, but like you don't even know anything else like other than your team. Like you don't know anybody else, and it's just like
Yeah, no, absolutely, all the time. I hear swimmers like, "Oh, back at my high school program, nobody went to our meets."
Right.
But then at the same time, they're like, "Swimming's so boring. I wouldn't go watch a swim
Right,
meet." And it's
right.
like, okay, well, then how
There's
can
your
you
answer.
expect people
There's your
to go to
answer.
your swim meet?
Right.
But dude, we'll go to swim meets all
Well,
the time.
oh yeah, dude. I could sit at a swim meet for days.
During high school season,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll go to dual meets, we'll go to
Yeah.
invites, we'll go to state. Like, we'll every time Arizona hosts a pro series, we'll go to
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like, I can sit at a swim meet
Oh, yeah, same.
for hours and for days. So we just want to bring, hopefully, and what the hopes of this is to bring a sort of fandom
Right.
to swimming, to bring a sort of excitement and a fan base, and get people talking about it, get people excited about it,
Right.
because swimming is exciting.
It is.
And if you haven't watched the ISL final in Las Vegas, you need to watch it. Actually, just pause this.
Do you know what?
Pause this right now.
Yeah, just pause it.
Open up another web browser, YouTube, ISL final. There's a whole highlight reel on it. It's about 2 hours. Just browse through it. Honestly,
Yeah.
if just watch the last half hour. Watch, I don't know, just watch some of it. It was
It was
crazy.
insane.
It was crazy. The ending with the skin swim, and that really determined the winner. I mean, it can be a very exciting sport.
Right.
But people just aren't talking about it.
Right.
People think swimming's too much of an individual sport, but it's not. And
It's
the
not.
ISL really proves that. And so that's really our hopes, is to really bring excitement to the sport of swimming, get people talking about it, get people excited about it. I mean, we have tons of ideas. I have a whole list of, I don't think I've shown you this.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I have a whole list of topics that I want
That's a big list.
that I want
Hold
to talk
up.
about.
Hold up. Wait.
So, I mean, we got a lot that we want to talk about, and even past that, there's still more that we want to do. I mean, I want to, I want to start a swimming shop in
Yeah.
Arizona. That's something I've talked about for a year or two now, opening up a swim shop. California has so many. Even my fiance, she's from Minnesota, and they have like 5 swim shops called Elsmore, and you go and like buy things, but we don't have a single one of
No,
we don't have one in Arizona.
We do
Like, people
not.
go to Big 5 to buy goggles,
Right.
and Dick's Sporting Goods, and we have what is it,
Yep. Ski Pro.
Ski Pro.
And then East
the-
Valley.
But the fact that we're buying swim stuff from a place called Ski Pro is so sad.
It is. And then, well, there's also East Valley. But it's like it's an all sports kind of place.
And so my
Yeah,
hopes
I
to
know.
like open up a swim shop is to like
Right.
bring like a professional level of training gear, goggles, anything swimming related. And it doesn't even have to be swimming. With GCU, I'm the aquatics director now. I'm going into my master's at GCU while coaching club swimming and overseeing their aquatics program. So I oversee water polo and artistic swimming, and there's also diving too, which is extremely underrated.
Oh, yeah. Even more underrated than swimming.
I love
Like,
watching that.
dive
The,
is-
the high dives.
Mhm.
The high dives are insane. So, I think aquatics is just underrated in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know a lot about water polo and artistic swimming. And artistic swimming is they used to be called synchronized swimming, but they've had a change in their name, so it's called artistic swimming now. I didn't know a lot about them before. I'd watch them at the
Right.
Olympics, but now like not coaching, but directing and overseeing these programs, it's been eye opening. And
Yeah.
and these sports are not easy.
No, they're not.
Oh
I
my
actually
gosh.
I actually went in for practice for artistic swimming, and I went in there. I was like, this is gonna be easy. It is not, guys. Like, it is not easy. I was drowning.
Yeah, this is a guy who's been swimming for a decade of his
Right,
life, and
right.
man, those guys are incredible.
Yeah, they're athletes.
If you
They are athletes.
if as a swimmer, if you're like, man, we have to hold our breath for a long time.
Nah.
No, no.
No.
Do artistic swimming. Look up artistic swimming. And those guys
They
hold their
breath.
breaths,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's insane. Honestly, if you're not, go follow Fina on Instagram, and they post all about it: diving, water polo, artistic swimming, and they really bring aquatics programs to their page, and it's super exciting to see. So extremely underrated sports. Water polo is intense.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are borderline drowning each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, they're just like waterboarding each other. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, water polo is super exciting to watch. If you like lacrosse, if you like hockey, soccer, like sports like that, water polo is
Yeah,
those guys, and those guys are huge.
they are big, man.
I've seen some water polo guys with tree trunk legs.
Yeah,
Tree trunk legs.
yeah,
So, yeah, that's my hopes with opening up a shop, is like bringing a professional aspect and a professional level to swimming.
Right.
It's not just, I'm gonna sell Speedo stuff, I'm gonna sell tier stuff. It's like, if you walk into my store and you're like, hey, I'm looking for goggles, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, these are the cheapest ones, these are the most expensive ones. It's gonna be like, well, what do you swim?
Yeah.
Are you a sprinter? Are you a distance swimmer? Right? Like, do you need more peripheral vision? Do you need it to be sleek, or is it for training? Is it for competing? Like,
Right.
if it's for training, you want a goggle that's gonna last,
Right.
longevity, something that's durable, right? If it's for competing, what are you looking for? Sprinters have different goggles than long distance swimmers,
Right.
and because of the different comfort levels, right?
Right.
Somebody who swims a 50, they're swimming for about 20 seconds. You don't need something that's super comfortable, but somebody who's swimming, say, even a 500, you're swimming for about 4.5 minutes. So you need something more comfortable, and the same thing goes in for suits. I mean, we can talk about this for
Yeah.
days, but
Yeah.
that's obviously another video that we're gonna come out with, is
Definitely.
talking about
Oh, yeah.
suits. And man, there are so many levels that go into suits. It's
Right.
like
Right.
too many people just, yeah, and I'm gonna talk about it.
Do
The
it. Go for it.
the Laser X, the
Right.
Speedo Laser X, and
That's the
and
suit that I have.
something that people don't realize is that these suits are designed by professional athletes, right? And so these guys are people who like train and weightlift, and they have muscle, right? And so what the Laser X was designed for, the crossing in the back, was to fit their glutes, because they have so much muscle there, right?
Right.
So when you're a 14-year-old kid and you're not lifting, buying a Laser X
Kind of
is
pointless.
not the best suit for you.
Yeah.
Because it keeps a pocket of air in the back, and you'll see this a lot. If you know of anybody who has a Laser X, and they don't have, what's the PC word for it, well-rounded glutes, if they're not
Yeah,
lifting,
right.
it doesn't fit them, and
Right.
there's a pocket of air that sits in the back. But I mean, people just see Olympians wear it.
Yeah,
They're
they
like,
just-
oh, they're fast and I want to buy it. But
Right.
there's so much more that goes into suits, and
Right.
so much more than just the brand and the name. There's so many designs that go into it. High-waisted, low-waisted. What's coming out now, with especially with Mizuno, that started this with Caleb Dressel, is dual layered suits. And Speedo is actually copying that as well. That's why Dressel moved over. Well, I shouldn't say that's why. I think that's why he did. I don't know for sure, but because he was wearing Mizuno
Yeah.
in college,
Yeah, he was.
and he was crushing it. And then he went pro and he signed with Speedo, and then they came out with the dual layered suit.
Right.
And so I think he had a lot to say that went into that. But that's common now, and people just see it. They're like, oh, they're wearing Mizuno suits, and then they buy it, and then it's like, they're wearing it for the wrong race or whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
that's something we'll definitely be talking about. Different suits for different races, for different types of swimmers, for different strokes, for different lengths and stuff like that. Man, there's just a lot there's a lot that we can dive into. There's a lot that we can go over, but we want to try to keep this as introductory as possible.
Right. Right. We'll go into more of like the details later.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Is there anything else?
I think I'm good. I feel bad because my introduction was just so short, and then
you want to try again?
Yeah. I mean, I can I can go again. Is that weird?
Go for it.
Is that weird? Okay. So let's try this again, guys. Yeah. So my name's Jordan, the younger brother of Jeremy. We also have an older brother. His name's Jonah. Shout out Jonah. But yeah, growing up, being the youngest, like, just following in my brother's footsteps in swimming, like, I don't really think I had like a say into going into swimming. They kind of just put me in it, but like, I'm so happy they did, honestly, because as a younger child, I was always like, no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to do that. Like, I was just afraid to step out of my comfort zone, and like, just being in swim, being forced into swim because my brothers did it. Like, I'm actually very grateful for that, because swim has opened so many doors for me, honestly. Just in high school, just meeting all these great people, great athletes, just being in that environment, and like, swimming has such a different like environment of like and atmosphere than any other sport that I've been a part of.
Everybody will talk about that.
Everybody.
I for GCU Club Swimming, I recruit heavily, and when I'm talking to recruits, I'm like, what do you love the most about swimming? And it's never about training. It's never about blah, 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 obviously, but it's always swimming is just a different
it's a
group.
different
It's a different breed,
right.
and everybody that I recruit says that, like, they just love being a part of a swimming team because it's such a close-knit community.
It is.
And it's a great atmosphere to be around.
Right. But yeah, like, it's just like all the people that I've met through my swim team, like, I still talk to them to this day. I mean, of course, some people I lose contact with, but I talk to them every day, and it's just like, it's like lifelong friends. And honestly, I've had some coaches before, some great coaches, but this guy right here, he's taught me like basically everything I know. When I was younger, I didn't really know what stroke I wanted to do. I just kind of did all of them. And then I wasn't good at breaststroke. My breaststroke was atrocious. But this guy sat down with me for like one summer and just trained with me, and you just saw this big jump in my stroke, right?
You were going from what, like 112, 115s to like 108, 106s?
Yeah, like yeah. It was a huge jump for sure. But yeah. And then college came around, and I joined the club team under Jeremy, and the first semester I was there, the first and only semester, it was a great atmosphere, honestly. And it's just, club swimming is just so underrated as like a whole, and just like nobody knows that much about it. Even I didn't know much about it, and my brother is over here coaching a team in that league, or in that club, I guess.
In the league.
In the league. And I didn't even know much about it until I actually joined the program. But yeah, it's just a super underrated, like, college club swim is just super underrated, and I think it should be talked about more, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
For sure. I haven't been to nationals before, but I've seen videos and I've heard people talking about it, and I want to go very bad, very bad. But, yeah, so I don't currently go to GCU. I actually attend another school for now, and that's why I'm coaching. I'm helping coach with my brother for hopefully one more semester, and then I'll be right back at GCU, and hopefully by the end of that next semester I'll be at nationals. That is the plan.
Yep.
But where is nationals again this year? Is it? We don't know yet.
Yeah, they haven't released any information. It was supposed to be in North Carolina, this past season, 2020, but they haven't released where it'll be 2021.
Okay.
I think they'll
keep it there. They'll keep it there.
But yeah, just to touch on some things Jordan talked about is coaching. You know, and you've worked with some really great coaches.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And then, you know, one guy I want to shout out is Bob.
Bob.
Bob's
Bob.
been Bob's the head coach over at Rio. That's where we both swam.
Yeah.
And we worked under him. Bob's been a huge inspiration for me. I actually model a lot of my coaching after him. I don't think I've told him that. But he's
Hopefully you're listening.
yeah.
Or like,
But yeah, he was a huge inspiration for me to get into coaching, and really started that for me. But for this channel, that's something we want to talk about. It's something I want to talk about as a young coach coming up, and I talked about it a little bit that second year we started a program. I mean, I was not in a good place mentally. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and I just was not a good coach. So something that I want to help people with is like, if you're thinking about going into coaching, is tips and tricks about going into it, and things that I wish I knew, about going into being a coach. And then another thing you touched on is college club swimming and options, and you know, and recruiting too. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but options is we want to talk about different options. I think too often people only see D1 and D2 as viable options for swimming, but there are so many other options. There's D3, there's NAIA, there's NJCAA, and then there's CCS.
or you can just go straight pro.
Yeah, or you can just go straight pro like Michael Andrews and Reagan Smith should, but that's
another topic. We can talk about that later.
but yeah, there are other options out there, and I too often, like, people only see D1 and D2 as like legitimate options, and if they don't, then they like quit and they stop swimming and they don't do it in college. But you can, and if that's your passion and you really want to do that, that's something you're training for, is like, I want to swim in college. Don't quit just because no D1 or D2 schools are looking for you. I know people who swim like a 24:50 free, call themselves a sprinter, and swim a 24:50 free, and still swim in college. Like, it's doable. You just gotta go and look for it. For example, and we're gonna talk about this a lot, but for example, Andrew Wilson. I don't know if you know this. Andrew Wilson swam D3.
I did not know that.
He swam D3 for Emory. And if you don't know who Andrew Wilson is, he's an American breaststroker.
Top breaststrokers in America.
He currently holds a faster time than Cody Miller.
Yeah.
And Cody Miller was the Olympic bronze medalist in 2016, and he has a faster time currently than Cody Miller. And so he's been on the come up, and he swam D3 at Emory. And now he's on the national team. And so D1, D2 aren't your only options. There's so many other options out there. NAIA does scholarships. D3 doesn't, but, you know, of course, everybody knows athletes get paid under the table.
I just want to add something here. For other sports like football, basketball, like baseball, they all use, if they're not good enough to be D1 or D2 or no schools are looking at them, they don't just quit, you know. Like, if they want it, they'll go to D3 schools, they'll go to a D2 school, and they'll work their way up to a D1 school. And for swim, they just see that D1, D2, and if they don't get any of that, they're done.
Yeah, that's so true. NJCAA, it's the Junior College Association, and a lot of it in California, community college swimming is huge in California. They have a whole league for it. And a lot of those people swim there for 2 years before moving up to D1 or D2, and it's definitely a viable option. So, you know, don't be discouraged if D1 and D2 schools aren't looking at you. But then another thing that you talked about was you just swam every stroke, and that is underrated. And again, we're gonna have so many. We're gonna pump out so many videos. It's gonna be a lot. But you know, because I'm recruiting right now this summer for students this year, for athletes this year, and a lot of them want to swim D1, want to swim D2, but literally the only event they swim is like the 50 free, 100 free. And unless you're like an elite 50 free, 100 free swimmer, I'm talking like you're swimming a 19 mid to low for your 50 and like a 43-ish, like you're not going to get recruited just because you swim the 50 and 100.
Right.
Especially if you swim like a 21:50, like
Right.
that's fast. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
But that's not at the D1 D2 level. Like
Yeah.
if you're a young swimmer and your dream is to go to the Olympics, your dream is to swim in college, swim every stroke, swim
Right.
every event.
Right.
You look at the best swimmers in the world, Caleb Dressel. Caleb Dressel broke the 200 IM American record at SECs, at conferences.
Yeah.
That wasn't even NCs. It was
No.
at conference.
Yeah.
At the SEC conference, he broke the 200 IM.
Right.
But what do we know him for?
Like sprint free.
Sprint free, exactly.
Butterfly.
But he broke the 200 IM
Yeah,
record.
so
He swims a 100 fly. He swims a 50 free, the 100 free. Think of Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think a lot of people know this. Michael Phelps has a faster lifetime best 100 free time than Nathan Adrian.
Yeah, which is insane.
Michael
'Cause-
Phelps faster than Nathan Adrian, which we know Nathan Adrian being one of the best American
the
sprinters.
elites.
And Michael Phelps has a faster 100 free, lifetime best 100 free than him by 1/100th of a second. But
It's still faster though. It's
but
still
regardless,
faster.
right? So, but then Michael Phelps swam 2 IM, 4 IM, 2 fly, 1 fly, the 100 free. He swam the 2 free.
200 free.
He swam those for relays almost every year he was a part of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Ryan Lochte, 2 back, 1 back, 2 IM, 4 IM, 2 free. Like they swam everything. And if you want to get looked at by colleges, you gotta be good at multiple events.
Right.
If you're good at multiple events, colleges will see that and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy can score for us in
Right.
multiple. We have a bunch of butterflies, but he can also swim breaststroke.
Right.
Maybe we'll train him for breaststroke this year." So if you want to get looked at, if you want to be a high profile athlete, be either be super elite in one
Yeah, right.
in one stroke in one event and like heavily specialize in that and be like top in the nation, or be a well-rounded swimmer, because I think colleges will look at you more if you're a well-rounded
Right.
swimmer.
Right.
I mean I would, if I know that I have a lot of butterflyers coming in this season, but I'm lacking on breaststrokers, then I'm going to put you in breaststroke, and then maybe the next year we'll recruit breaststrokers and you can go back to fly. It's like,
Right.
like you can be moved around. You're more, I think you're more likely to be recruited just because
Definitely.
when you're putting together relays, when you're trying to win meets,
Right.
and you have
Right.
somebody that
Somebody
can
that's just
score
flexible in
in
anything.
multiple events, then that's like a high prospect right there.
Yeah.
I think any college will take that student athlete over
Right.
a lot of other athletes.
Right. Yeah, you see like the top recruits in the nation from high school going into college, like all of them, they're really fast, yeah, but it's not just one stroke, one specific stroke or one specific race. They're fast
them.
at
You might know them
everything.
as like, oh, they're a backstroker.
right.
But if you look at their other events and their times,
they're
elite.
good at backstroke, butterfly, sprint free, distance free. Like they're just amazing at every stroke. So just like my advice is just like try not to like limit yourself to just like one event or like one stroke,
Mm-hmm.
Try to branch out, and you could always find another stroke that you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, like I never knew I was really good at backstroke and butterfly, and I only trained breaststroke and free. But then my junior, a little bit of my junior, and then my senior year, and plus at GCU, I started swimming more butterfly, backstroke, and I just started to fall in love with it.
And that's another thing too, is like if say you're a sprint freestyler, 50-100, right? If you train your other strokes, right? If you hit like a slump in your
Right.
50-100, you feel like you're plateauing. When you train your other strokes, you're gonna see an improvement in your primary
Right.
event and your primary stroke.
Right.
Because so much of the other strokes translate over into being able to swim freestyle. The turnover rate for backstroke, right? The arm pull and butterfly, the something breaststroke. I'm blanking on something. I don't know. But it's like the feel of the water. Like you think of elite swimmers, and if they can be out of the water for a year, but come back and still dominate kids because their feel for the water is just, it's second to none. It's at an
Right,
elite level.
right.
A lot of schooling, a lot of practicing. They just understand swimming mechanics. And so when you can understand that and apply it to other strokes, then I strongly believe your primary strokes are going to improve. And I see it a lot.
Right.
I see it all the time with the athletes I train. They'll come in and they'll say, "Oh, I'm a sprint backstroker," but then we'll train some fly, we'll train some breaststroke. They'll get faster at those events. Their backstroke will be plateauing, but then we hit nationals, we hit a taper meet, and they crush it.
Right.
They absolutely destroy in that event.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, that's a good point. Is like training other strokes and training other events. And another thing too is, if you want to go and swim in college, D1, D2, whatever, train the 200s. Right? If you're a backstroker,
Yeah.
even though high school only has 100 back, you need to be good at the 2 back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you're only good at the 100 back, not a lot of schools are gonna look at you,
Right.
unless again, you gotta be
Right.
elite at that stroke. Like think of
You
Adam
gotta be
Peaty.
going like 46.
Adam Peaty, the only event that he swims at the Olympics is 100 breaststroke,
100 breast.
and his 200 breaststroke is
Garbage.
bad. It is not good.
Garbage.
But he's elite at the
He is
100
an elite.
breaststroke. Like faster than the next fastest person by almost 2
2
seconds.
seconds, yeah.
In a 100, that's elite.
Yeah.
So like either be elite at one event, or like you gotta be very well rounded.
Yeah.
Train the 200s, train the 2 back, 2 breast, 2 fly. Do the 4 IM. Honestly, do the 4 IM.
4 a.m.
If
is
you're-
fun, honestly.
Yeah.
It's fun.
If you're a freestyler, if you're a sprint freestyler, do the 2 free. Honestly, like
Yeah.
that having that, being able to hold middle distance, I think will help in a 50 as well.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, be well versed. Don't just think, oh, I gotta keep improving every single meet. I gotta swim the 50 free so I can keep improving that so colleges can look at me. No, like branch out, get better at other events,
Yeah.
get better at other strokes, and colleges will look at you as well. So we we got a lot that we want to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
We
definitely.
definitely want to try to keep this as introductory as possible.
Yeah. There have
but-
been parts where you're talking, I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that, but that's gonna go off in another 30-minute
know.
tangent.
you gotta stop
But,
me because
yeah.
like, we can talk
Oh yeah.
forever and ever
Oh, yeah.
and ever. So let's end this one, and then we'll try to post these pretty regularly, about once a week.
Yeah.
And if you guys listen, if you're following and you're listening along and you liked what we had to say, and you're looking forward to the things that we do have to say,
Yeah.
follow,
Yeah, for sure.
subscribe, hit the like button, throw a comment in there. If you are interested in hearing anything at all about swimming, if you have any ideas, you're like, hey, people talk about this, but can you dive into that a little bit more? Feel free to throw that in the comments.
Right.
Although we have a list of things we want to talk about, we also want to talk about things you guys want to talk about. We want to interact with you guys as much as possible. We'll probably do a Q&A session soon, and then but yeah, we want to interact with you guys as much as we can. We want to if you guys are the ones following and listening along, we want to talk about things that you guys are interested in hearing about. So feel free to throw that in the comments. We'll be doing this about once a week, and
Yeah.
and
Share it with your friends too, man.
yeah, if you got swimmer
Like-
friends and they're swimming nerds too,
Right.
feel free to share this with them, and we'd love to see them. We'd love to hear from you guys.
All right.
Alright.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thanks for checking in with the splash pad.